So today we are going to discuss about the three-phase 120-degree mode VSI. In the previous class, we discussed about the three-phase 180-degree mode VSI. That means each of SCR conducts for 180 degree of a cycle. Okay. That means the thyristor pair in each arms, that is T1 or Q1, Q4. Okay. This is Q4.
ম্যাম দেখা যাচ্ছে না।
কেউ দেখতে পাচ্ছ না বাকিরা? কেউ কি দেখতে পাচ্ছ না?
হ্যাঁ দেখা যাচ্ছে তো ম্যাম।
দেখতে পাচ্ছি
দেখা যাচ্ছে।
হ্যাঁ দেখা যাচ্ছে।
তাহলে ওর কিছু নেটওয়ার্কের প্রবলেম আছে। In case of three-phase 180-degree mode VSI, each SCR conducts for 180 degree of a cycle. Okay, that means the thyristor or transistor pair of each in the each arm, that is Q1, Q4, Q3, Q5, Q5, Q2 are turned on with a time interval of 180 degree. Okay, but in case of the circuit configurations are same for both three-phase 180-degree conduction mode inverter and three-phase 120-degree conduction mode of inverter. But in case of three-phase 120-degree mode VSI, what happens? It happens that each transistor or thyristors conducts for 120 degree of a cycle. Okay, that means Q1 operates for 120 degree. Similarly, Q3, Q4, Q2, Q5 and Q6 operates for 120 degree. But like similar to 180 degree conduction mode, 120 degree mode inverter also requires the 6 steps and each of 60 degree durations, okay, for completing one cycle of the output AC voltage. So now we are going to discuss about the 120 degree induction mode. Okay, here it is seen that this is pi 180 degree, but each conductor conducts for 120 degree, that is this is T1. This 60 degree step is off. Again for 120 degree T4 operates. 60 degree off. Again for 120 degree T1, 60 degree off, then T4. Okay, then for this T3 120 degree, after this is off, T6 60 degree off, T3 60 degree off, T6. This continuation of T6 is come to the in the first. Okay, so then the another pair, it is started again after the 60 degree and conducts for 60 to 180, then T5 240 to 360, then T2 60 to 180, then T5 240 to 360. Okay. So what happened now? V of AO means the voltage across A phase, means T1 and for T4. So we know that the circuit T1 operates for the positive half and T4 operates for the negative half. So VAO is nothing but this. There is this value is Vs by 2. How do we get Vs by 2? We calculate. Okay. Actually, this is Vs by 2 from our figure. This figure. We see that for the positive half we apply Vs by 2 and for the negative half we also apply the Vs by 2, which is in reverse direction, that is minus Vs by 2. Okay, so we see that for the positive half, the AO is nothing but Vs by 2. Then during 120 to 160, there is no conduction. That means this is off, that means 0. And after 180 degree, there is a reverse direction current flow or voltage across the thyristor T4, that is minus Vs by 2. That's why this is in reverse direction. Similarly, it is continuing. Okay. Then VBO. VBO means when the T3 and T6 are turned on. So the T6 is turned, as T6 is a lower group, it's in lower group. The T6, when the T6 is turned on, we get a negative. That's why this is negative Vs by 2. Okay. So from 60 to 120, there is no conduction. So this is 0. And after that, 120 to 240, there is a positive Vs by 2. Okay. After that, it continues its process. Similarly, VCO is 0 to 60 degree, it becomes 0. After the 60 to 180, T2 is conducting, as T2 is a lower leg, so that's why it is negative, that is minus Vs by 2. After that 180 to 240, it is 0, and then for the T5, it is positive Vs by 2. Okay. Now we have to find out the VAB. These are the neutral voltage and these are the line to line voltage. Actually, this is not neutral voltage, this is the phase voltage. Okay, between one phase and neutral. And now we have to find out the line to line voltage. So VAB, VAB nothing but VA0 minus VB0. So here we, in the duration 0 to 60, VA0 is Vs by 2 and VB0 is minus Vs by 2. So Vs by 2 minus of minus Vs by 2 becomes only Vs. Okay. So that's why this is Vs. In the duration 60 to 120, the value of VA0 is Vs by 2 and VB0 is 0. So we get VA0 minus VB0, that is Vs by 2 minus 0, that is Vs by 2. Okay. That's why we get Vs by 2. After that means during the interval 120 to 180. What happened? This happens that 0 minus Vs by 2. That means minus Vs by 2. Okay. After that minus Vs, and this is in continuing in nature. Okay. Similarly for VBC, VBO minus VCO. Then VBO is during this time interval 0 to 60 degree, VBO is minus Vs by 2 and VCO is 0, that is minus Vs by 2. Okay. So we get this is minus Vs by 2. After that means during the interval 60 to 120 degree, what happened? This has happened that the value of VBO is 0 and VCO is VBO is 0 and VCO is minus Vs by 2. This is wrong, okay, because this should be, oh, okay, clear. So this is 0 and this is minus Vs by 2. That's why VBC is 0 minus of minus Vs by 2, that is plus Vs by 2. Okay. Then during the interval 120 to 180 degree conduction mode, VBO is plus Vs by 2 and VCO is minus of Vs by 2. That means VBC is Vs by 2 minus of minus Vs by 2. That means Vs by 2 plus Vs by 2, that is Vs. Okay. Similarly, the curve continues. For VCA means VCO minus VAO. During the interval 0 to 60 degree, VBO is nothing but VCO is nothing but 0 and VAO is plus Vs by 2. So the resultant becomes 0 minus of Vs by 2, that is minus Vs by 2. Okay. After that we get VCO is minus Vs by 2 and VO is plus Vs by 2. That is Vs by 2, sorry, that is minus Vs by 2 minus of Vs by 2, that is minus Vs. Okay. And after that means 120 to 180 degree, the value of VCO is minus Vs by 2 and VAO is 0, so minus Vs by 2. Okay. And the curve continues in the same manner. So, what are the merits and demerits of 120 degree mode inverter over the 180 degree mode inverter? Okay. So, these all are written here. Okay. In the 180 degree mode inverter, when the gate signal IG1 is cut off, then the turn off T1 at omega t is equals to 180 degree. Getting the signal IG4 is simultaneously applied to the turn on T4 in the same leg. Okay. But in practice, what happens? A commutation interval must exist between the removal of IG1 and the application of IG4, because otherwise the DC would experience a direct short circuit through the SCRs and T1 and T4 in the same leg. Okay. And it may cause the damage of the thyristor. Okay. And this difficulty is overcome considerably in 120 degree mode inverter, because as there is some off period. Okay. So in this interval there is a 60 degree interval between the turning off of T1 and the turning off on of T4. During this 60 degree interval, T1 can commutate it safely. Commutation means to turn off. Okay. After these discussions, means 3-phase 120 degree mode and the performance parameter, we first discuss about the commutation of inverter. After that we discuss about the CSI mode. Okay. Now, so we can say that in general this angular interval of 60 degree exists between the turning off of one device and turning on of the complementary device in the same leg. So this period sufficient time, this 60 degree time period is sufficient for the outgoing thyristor to regain the forward blocking capability. Okay. And the next important point is, in that 120 degree mode inverter, the potentials of only two output terminals connected to the DC source are defined at any time of the cycle. That means the potential of the third terminal pertaining to the particular leg in which neither the device is conducting is not well defined, and its potential therefore depends on the nature of the load circuit. Okay. So here we see for the balanced circuit what happened, that if we consider a balanced delta connected resistive load, then we get the line voltages as a value. What we get, that Vs by 2, and we get, if we apply the Fourier transform analysis, then we get the value of VA0, VB0 and VC0 in the terms of sine, okay, sine term. And we also get the RMS value of the fundamental voltage, which is 0.3898 Vs, RMS value of phase voltage, as we considered the square root of 1 by pi integration 0 to 3 pi by 2 pi by 3 Vs by 2 whole square d of omega t, and after we get 0.4082 Vs, okay. And we also get the fundamental line voltage VL1, which is nothing but 3 Vs by root 2 pi, and RMS value of line voltage, which is VL, is nothing but root 3 Vp, that means 0.7071 Vs, okay. So now we are going to discuss about, all are here, okay. Now we are going to discuss about the voltage control in single phase inverter. So in case of the inverters, we get the AC, okay, and we use this AC as our daily purpose. So we use different types of So, AC loads may require the constant or adjustable voltage at their input terminals. So, when such loads are fed by inverters, it is essential that the output voltage of the inverter is so controlled as to fulfill the requirements of AC load. Okay. So, an AC load may require a constant input voltage through at different levels. For such a load, any variation in the DC input voltage must be suitably compensated in order to maintain a constant voltage at the AC load terminal at a desired level. Okay. Now, in case of inverter supplies of power to a magnetic circuit, such as an induction motor, the voltage to the frequency ratio at the inverter output terminal must be kept constant. That is, V by F ratio must be constant. These avoid saturations in the magnetic circuit of the device fed by the inverter. Okay. Now the various methods for the control of output voltage of inverters are as under. Number one is external control of AC voltage. B is external control of DC input voltage, and the internal control of inverter. Okay. And the first two methods require the use of peripheral components, whereas the third method, that means the internal control of inverter, requires no peripheral components. Now we are going to discuss about the details of these three control strategies. The first one is the external control of AC voltage. Also, there are two possible methods. A is AC voltage control, B is series inverter control. So what is about the AC voltage control? In case of AC voltage control, there is an AC voltage controller which is inserted between the output terminal, that means across the input of the load of the inverter, and the load terminals, okay, as shown in this figure. So this is a AC voltage controller, which is the output of the inverter and input to the AC load. The voltage input to the AC load is regulated through the firing angle control of the AC voltage controller. This method gives rise to higher harmonic content in the output voltage, okay, particularly when the output voltage from the AC voltage controller is at low level. This method is therefore rarely employed except for the low power applications. Okay, so this is only for used for low power application. This is the AC voltage control. Then we are going to discuss about the series inverter control. This method of voltage control involves the use of two or more inverters. Here we see there is using two inverters, okay, which are in series, and these inverters are summed up with the help of the transformers to obtain an adjustable output voltage. Okay, so here if the inverter output is fed to two transformers whose secondaries are connected in series, the phasor sum of two fundamental voltages, that is V01 and V02, gives the resultant fundamental voltage V0, and we know that V0 is nothing but this is the phasor sum of V01 and V02. That means the square root of V01 square plus V02 square plus 2 V01 V02 cos of theta. Okay, so it is essential that the frequency of the output voltages must be same. That means V01 and V02 must be same, and the theta is 0 for that means V01 and V02 must be in the same line. Okay, and when theta is 0, then V0 becomes V01 plus V02, and when theta is equals to pi, then V0 is 0. Okay, when and in case the V01 is equals to V02. Okay, and this angle, that means the angle between V01 and V02, can be varied by the firing angle control of two inverters. The series connection of the inverter called the multiple converter control does contain even at low output voltage levels. Okay. Now the external control of DC input voltage. Okay. So there are several methods. Here we give the constant AC voltage, fully controlled rectifier. After getting the filter, we get the controlled DC voltage. Then we use the inverter, then we get the controlled AC voltage. The second method is constant AC voltage we give to an uncontrolled rectifier, and after that we use a chopper, then filter, then we get a control DC voltage. After that inverter, then we get control AC voltage. So the third method is constant AC voltage is given to an AC voltage controller, then it is gone through the uncontrolled rectifier, then filter, then control DC voltage, then inverter, then we get a control AC voltage. Okay. The fourth one is constant DC voltage is given to the chopper. After that is gone through the filter, then we get a control DC voltage, then it is given to the inverter and we get the control AC voltage. Okay, so these are about the external control of DC input voltage. Okay, so there are the two main advantage of this control is output voltage waveform and its harmonic current content are not affected appreciably as the inverter output voltage is controlled through the adjustment of DC input voltage to the inverter. Okay, but it has some disadvantages as the number of power converters used for the control of the inverter output voltage varies from 2 to 3. So in first case we see that 2 power electronics device used extra, that means full control rectifier and a filter. So it considers or results in more losses and reduce the efficiency of the entire scheme. For reducing the ripple current of DC voltage input to the inverter, the circuit required for all types of these schemes require the filter circuit for 4 of the schemes. Okay, this filter in circuit increases the cost weight and size, and at the same time reduces the efficiency, makes the transient response sluggish. And the third one is, as the DC input is decreased, the commutating capacitor voltage also decreases. Okay, so that circuit which has an effect of the circuit turn off time, okay, for a constant load current. Now we are going for discuss about the internal control of inverter. Okay, so output voltage of an inverter can also be adjusted by exercising a control within the inverter itself. The most efficient method of doing this is the pulse width modulation control, PWM technique. Now this is the discuss. What happens in case of pulse width modulation? In this method, a fixed DC input voltage is given to the inverter and the controller AC output voltage is varied by adjusting the on and off periods of the inverter components. This is the most popular method for controlling the output voltage, and this method is termed as an pulse width modulation control. In case of chopper circuit, we already know that what do you mean by the pulse width modulation control? We see that depending upon the turn on and turn off period, we can find out we can control the chopper operations, and this method is called the pulse width modulation control. What are the advantages of pulse width modulation control? The output voltage control with this method can be obtained without any additional components. So there is the cost is reduced. With this method, lower order harmonics can be eliminated or minimized along with its output voltage control. And as higher order harmonics can be filtered easily, the filtering requirements also minimized. And the main disadvantage of this method is the SCRs, as the SCRs are expensive, they must possess low turn on and turn off times. Okay. Now there are different types of pulse width modulation techniques. Okay, the first is pulse width modulated inverter. The PWM inverters are gradually taking over other types of inverters in industrial application as they are advantageous. PWM techniques are characterized by the constant amplitude pulses. The width of these pulses is, however, modulated to obtain inverter output voltage control and to reduce its harmonic content. The different PWM techniques are as under. So, means there are three types of PWM techniques. One is single pulse modulation, multiple pulse modulation, sinusoidal pulse modulation. Okay. In case our recent industries, generally sinusoidal pulse modulation techniques are mainly employed because we use for the AC circuits, and we consider that all the AC voltage are in sinusoidal in nature. Okay. So in case of PWM inverters, the force commutation is essential, and the three PWM techniques listed above differ from each other in the harmonic content in their respective output voltage. So now the choice of particular PWM techniques depends upon the permissible harmonic component in the inverter output voltage. Okay. So now we are going to discuss about the single pulse modulation. In case of single pulse modulation, this is a diagram. Okay, what happened in case of single pulse modulation? The output voltage from the single pulse full bridge inverter is shown here. Okay, so when this waveform is modulated, what happens? The output voltage is of the form shown by this figure. Okay, it consists of a pulse of with 2D located symmetrically about pi by 2 and another pulse located symmetrically about 3 pi by 2. Now, actually this is 3 pi by 2, okay? There is a mistake. This is pi by 2 and this is 3 pi by 2. The range of pulse width 2D, this 2D varies from 0 to pi. That means 2D is lies between 0 and pi. The output voltage is controlled by varying this pulse width 2D, okay? And this shape of the output voltage we get by plotting this, varying the 2D, and we get this type of output voltage, and this is called the quasi square wave, okay? This type of curves called the quasi square wave, okay? So after doing the Fourier analysis, we get that AN is this, BN, okay? Now what is the value of V0? We get this, okay? So N is equals to 1, we get this, N equals to 2, sorry, for the odd numbers, 1, this is for 1, this is for 3, this is for 5, this is for 7, okay? So this type of curves is called the quasi square wave, okay? And the pulse width other than 2D is equals to pi radians, then the peak value of the fundamental components become 4Vs sin D, okay? Now this is written here. Then we are going to discuss about the multiple pulse modulation technique. In this method of pulse modulation is an extension of nothing but an extension of single pulse modulations, okay? So in multi-pulse modulation, the several equidistant pulses for half cycle are used. So this is for this half cycle means 0 to pi by 2 we use pulse of D, and after again for the half cycle pi by 2 to pi we use another pulses having the value D, okay? For simplicity, the effect of using two we use two symmetrical pulses, okay? So for this is for one cycle and this is for the another cycle. So if we get the Fourier constants, so we get this value, okay? V0, Vn, and so on, okay? After that, after the conversion, we get that this is for θ1, that means this is the off sign. After that, this is on for 2D by N, okay? After that, this is again off, okay? The value of θ1 is pi minus 2D by N plus 1, okay? And the gamma is nothing but θ1, θ2, okay? So this is actually a multiple pulse modulation, okay? And we use triangular wave and a square wave to a comparator, then a trigger pulse generated. After that, trigger pulses we get a trigger pulses to the SCR, okay? So this is the output voltage of the waveform of the multiple pulse modulator, okay? This is a triangular wave which is carrier signal Vc, frequency omega c, okay? And this is the square wave for the reference signal Vr, frequency omega, okay? After that, this becomes the output voltage. That means the cross section of these 2 points, we get the output voltage, okay? Otherwise, in the instant between these two instants, it becomes 0, okay? So this is the fundamental discussion about the multiple pulse inverter. Okay, so from here we get that the triangular carrier wave, the pulse width is nothing but 1 by fc, and the square wave reference pulse width of half cycle is 1 by 2f. Then the number of pulses per half cycle is nothing but number of hilltops per half cycle. Hilltops means nothing but this hilltops. This is called the hilltops. That means length of half cycle square reference wave by width of one cycle of triangular wave, that is omega by that is omega c by 2 omega. And after that we get that the pulse width is nothing but 2d by n, which is nothing but pi by 4 minus 2x. Okay. So I'm stopping here for today. In next class we are discussing about the sinusoidal pulse width modulations and some commutation technique of the inverter.